Well, you know what I mean? Of course, there are bad breaks, and then there is, of course, what happened to Derek Carr. And look, you guys always talk about you guys being in the fraternity. You know it better than anybody else. As a matter of fact, this happened to you guys. To you, your team, arguably the best back in the 90s. Late in the season, you get hurt. Talk about how you dealt with it.
Well, first off, real quick, we were all watching the highlights there, and everybody was excited because of his actions, his play, and his personality.
His communication skills.
It was just, that was great film work. And when he got hurt, the stadium went quiet, and really there was a time I thought, well, they're going to lose this game because he's out of the game too. Yeah, it did happen to me late in the year. Jeff Hostetler came in, last 2 games of the year. We won them. We went on and won the Super Bowl. Would I equate that to this situation? Not quite, because Jeff Hostetler is a better quarterback than the backups that we're going to see coming into these playoff teams. And not only was he a better quarterback, I think we had a better team that was expected maybe to have a chance to win the Super Bowl than you would even these teams, as good as Oakland is. So that makes a difference. And you saw Derek Carr leaving the field, and Matt McGloin was coming in. I've followed Matt McGloin since Penn State. I know he was undrafted. He made the team out with the Raiders. He beat out a 4th-round draft pick that year. You know, when teams usually draft a quarterback, they never cut him, and he beat out Tyler Wilson from Arkansas because he's got the best word to describe him. He's tough, but he's got that grit. And I'm telling you, I promise you, he thinks he's going to be every bit as good as Derek Carr. That's the kind of mentality
he's got the PA football grit is what he
does.
You know, watching those highlights is one of the reasons why you really, truly watch this show, because you get to find out what a guy is like on the field and how important they are on the field. And what you saw there is the future of the Raiders. If I'm a Raider fan, I am so jacked up about my future because of what Derek Carr is and how he communicates on the field and how he interacts with his teammates. He's awesome. He's awesome. Now, I'm also brokenhearted that he's not playing.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to have an insurance policy, say like a Matt Moore down in Miami. Now, he's won 2 games. Since their starting quarterback went down, Ryan Tannehill went down. And then you have Tom Savage taking over for, I would say this about Houston. If I'm Brock Osweiler, I do not put my head in the sand. I better prepare as if I'm the starter, because I have a feeling that Bill O'Brien is very impatient. And if things don't start going right, he could go right back to Brock Osweiler. So Brock Osweiler might have another chance. But, man, I'll tell you what, whether it be Marcus Mariota, who broke his leg this week, or Derek Carr, who broke his leg, you know, I think the young quarterbacks in this league are really good, and we have a lot to look forward to.
We just saw something very special right there.
Yep.
You know, and I always say this, you have such an advantage if you have what we just saw. Tom Brady has it. It's you're not just the quarterback of a football team. You're not just the leader of that football team, but you're the emotional leader of that football team, and that's what Derek Carr is. So now, if you're a quarterback, the leader, and the emotional leader, when is your team ever going to be down? Because that's the quarterback. And we don't get that. We always put quarterbacks up in those positions, and we try to prop them up. But everybody is not that. That's a different team with that kid on the football field.
Well, you know, that brings me to the question. And with those 3 youngsters that Boomer just mentioned, Moore, McGloin, and Savage, do the teams, the rest of the team, really feel going into the postseason they've got a shot? Because we've got Alex Smith, we've got Ben Roethlisberger, we've got Tom Brady.
Teams are optimistic. They're optimistic. Guys always believe they're going to win no matter what the circumstances. Let me just say this, too. This is a broader point that I really wanted to bring up in this. I don't want to say get used to it, but quarterbacks are taking a lot of hits, and they can make more rules than they want. I had this argument with Mike Carey, who used to help us in the booth, and I said, oh, too many rules protecting the quarterback. He goes, no, like very serious. You don't understand, Phil. You're not on the field. I stand right next to him. It's unbelievable. And this summer, I was with a group of quarterbacks, and then they had a few beverages. And so they were telling the truth, and we were talking about being a quarterback in the NFL, and they said, man, it's not about having success. It's about survival.
That's exactly
because it's brutal back there right now.
And for the TV networks who broadcast them, for us at CBS, we lost basically maybe one of the brightest or 2 of the brightest young stars here at the end of the season. That's a disaster. So you want to see guys like Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger and Alex Smith in the playoffs. It's unfortunate for these other teams. I just don't see any team going into Gillette Stadium now and winning.
As a #1 receiver, and you have your quarterback, like Amari Cooper must feel like Derek Carr and those guys. Let me tell you something. You go into those games, you want to be optimistic. Yeah. But when Troy Aikman was not in the game, Troy Aikman had a back. I knew he wasn't playing. Every time I leaned in the huddle, I kept looking over at the locker room. Like, please, come on, Troy. But I had to fix my own mind and said, Michael, he's not coming out of that locker room. Focus back in on this game. It's a whole different way that you play the game with your backup quarterback, especially if you're number one receiver and you have a relationship with that guy. So I'm just saying in Oakland, I feel sorry for you because the Derek Carr is something
Support
special.
your
The other guys,
the way the
guys are
Cowboys
something
have.
different, and everybody will try to rally around him. But you lost something in Oakland.
Yeah,
I didn't
there
get
you
to
go.
it. I get to it?
Thank you for the honesty. I heard Boomer, you don't want to support it, but thank you for reality.
Man, I'm telling you, man.